3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Briones Pickleball Podcast, everyone. This is the last episode of 2024. It's been an incredible year. And for this episode, I just want to share with you what we're going to do. We're going to do a Q&A. We've had a lot of our subscribers, a lot of players actually send questions in. And it's going to be, we're going to be talking about strategy. We're going to be talking about probably technique, different tactics, and coming into the new year of 2025, how you can improve your game and keep up with the evolving game. But before that, I just want to introduce Dawson. What's up, Dawson?
Hello, everyone.
Yes. Yeah. So you may have seen Dawson in our videos, and he was on our podcast before.
Long time.
But Dawson, we met because you came to actually one of my very first intensives.
Yeah.
And
it was a while ago.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Like Dawson's here, and he does some stuff for us on the back end, and he's a good friend of mine, and we drill every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Dawson. Anything you want to say before we get started, dude?
Yeah. So I met Jordan through an intensive, and it was a great experience. I think it helped me out a lot, and from there, it was kind of just one of those things where it was like, you know what, I want to be more involved. How can I help out? And then, and then it was kind of like, all right, I went through the intensive, and then a couple months later, I got a text, and it was like, hey, you've been really helpful. Is there any chance you want to help out in some other stuff too? And I was like, heck yeah, anything I can. So got some drilling sessions in, and fun times.
Awesome, man. Cool. Well, we're going to be hopping right in. Again, this is a Q&A. We're going to be answering all your questions. I'm going to try to do this once a month, but if you would like to actually submit your questions, go to the description below, and then, submit your questions there for the next Q&A. We're going to get through as many as we can. Happy New Year if you're listening to this in 2025, but this is the last day of the year. So, really quickly, just some housekeeping stuff. If you would like to join an intensive. Now, Dawson, you haven't joined a 5-day yet.
I haven't,
but we do have 5 days planned out through the year. I don't know, Dawson, we'll see. Maybe you'll hop in one
for sure.
But Dawson, you came to train with me for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And actually we have a whole full podcast on that, but the 5 day is just a bigger version of that.
I would love that.
So if you want to come and actually train with Kaden and I, go check out the description below. And we would love to work with you in 2025 if you really want to improve your game. And we're going to be talking about more of this later on in the show. But, as this game is becoming more aggressive and, you want to be able to attack more, you can't just be a defensive player. We're going to talk about a little bit about the John situation right before we hop into the Q&A. But if you want to learn to attack more, check out and go to attackingmasterclass.com. We made a free video there. Oh, Dawson, you're actually helping me in it. So there's a free video there, attackingmasterclass.com, and it's going to really help you kind of give you a new, fresh look on attacking and how we can do that in 2025. But really quickly, right before the Q&A, Dawson, you're playing tournaments all the time. You're learning. You're still improving your game. What are your thoughts as a player, amateur player making his way through the ranks of like the whole Ben and Colin thing? Like what is your view?
It's sad, honestly. So
really sad. Okay.
Yeah. It's a cool new light to pickleball to have the oldest, most groundbreaking team split up, right? And knowing, I was in San Clemente for the PPA, and it was late night. I had already played, lost my 2 games, and I'm sitting there watching these games, and Ben and Colin come up to play Christian and Deckel, and my dad's like, all right, let me know when you want to go, we'll go back, we'll get some food on the way home. And I'm like, hang on, because this might be the last game we ever see these 2 brothers play together.
Oh, wait, so you went to the last San Clemente? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, like a couple weeks ago. And he was like, really? And I'm like, it depends how they do, but yeah, I don't see them staying together for too much longer. Wow. And then they lose pretty badly, and Colin throws some, little tantrums, and it was a frustrating game for them, clearly. And you could tell right away after the game, Colin grabbed his bag and, ran out like there was somebody chasing him.
Wow.
And Ben stuck around for a little bit longer, but he's still,
doing what? Just like sitting on the stands, or
kind of. He just grabbed his bag. He sat down for a minute. I think he was just thinking, and then he got up and left.
Okay.
And he didn't, there's no paddles to sign, bags. No one was crowding him to get signatures on things. He kind of just looked very defeated, and it was sad because it's like that's when I started pickleball a year and a half ago, that's who I was watching dominate every single game, and now it's like they're getting dominated. So I don't know. The main thing I have to say, it's just sad.
Oh, okay. So all right, that's an interesting perspective. So you started the game, you said a year and a half ago? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Nice, man. So yeah. Well, we're gonna keep you updated with that with Ben and Colin. I did a full podcast previously by myself talking about the situation, and there's a lot of comments on there saying like, it's rambling on and stuff like that. But hey, that was my first solo podcast. I'll try to make it better next time. But the future of pickleball is definitely changing. We're going to go through these questions now. We're going to talk about that. But again, just a really quick summary of that last episode. If you didn't listen to that, or you don't want to go through listening to that, the attacking game and the offense of today is a huge part of this game, and it wasn't like that 3 to 5 years ago. So, that is something that you're going to want to keep improving in your game. Dawson, when it comes to attacking, is that something that you're working on in your game right now, or what are specifically are you working on?
So I'd say over the last 5 months, I started, instead of dropping my thirds, which I still do occasionally, but let's say I'm not perfectly in a position to hit a great drop. Yeah. My go-to is just to drive constantly now, and then I drop my fifth. And that's something that I've realized as I play higher levels, right? If your drop isn't perfect, you're getting just, demolished by, a good roll or volley. And drops are hard to get good once you're playing better players whose returns are really good. So drives are just a safer bet, and everyone's driving now. So driving thirds, dropping fifths has been something I've been working on a lot. And then the other thing I've been working on a lot is speed ups, right? Because the game's faster and counters of speed ups. So, but yeah, mostly just driving thirds and dropping fifths.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. Okay. So let's jump into your questions, everyone. Thank you for listening. I know it was a long intro there. Again, these are questions from players all over the country, subscribers of ours, and we really appreciate you. We're going to try to tackle as many as we can. Dawson, shoot.
Sweet. All right, first question we've got comes from Ed Cohen, all the way from Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
Okay.
And the question is, what is the preferred arc of the ball as it crosses the net? In particular, I think the ball should be moving downward as it crosses the net, but where should the apex be? Does this vary for different shots?
Yeah, good question. I get this question a lot. Basically, how do you want your ball dropping over the net? Now, for some of these questions, I'm going to try to find footage, but some of them we just won't have time to find footage on everything. I do think this, Dawson, and I'll get your thoughts after I answer, but I think people focus on too much sometimes on, okay, where's my apex there? Is it here? Is it there? The biggest key thing for drops, let's just start with that. Dinks or drops,
right?
Is that your ball is descending low towards your opponent's feet or somewhere like in front of their feet or towards their feet. So, physically or physics wise, your ball, obviously the apex of the ball will be on the, on your side of the net, and it will be dropping down.
Right.
But the biggest key thing is, you will see some drops that are, a little bit more linear. You will see drops that come in really high, maybe with topspin. But I think the main key is where that ball is actually landing and where you're actually contacting it. So for drops and dinks and resets, that is where you want that ball. But let's say if you're driving the ball, right? A lot of times when you're driving with pace, your ball is not going to be perfectly at the feet, right? If they're at the line. So we just want it as low as possible. But hopefully that answers that question. We'll keep moving. But what do you think about, really quick, Dawson, when you're dropping the ball?
So one thing I was shocked about when I was watching some of the pro players in San Clemente was their drops. That was a huge kind of wake up to me, was their drops aren't perfect every time. And one thing I was noticing is their drops are only as good as their resets are going to be. So like you'll see a pro.
So break that down.
Yeah, so you'll see a pro hit a drop, and for me, that's a drop that would probably lose me the point. It's too high, right? And it might still bounce in the kitchen, but it's going to bounce up, and it's going to be, an off the bounce counter.
Yes.
But that pro takes 2 steps and hits a perfect reset, almost as like another drop, and then moves up, and now they're to the kitchen line. So I think as I see people with better resets, their drops almost have more of a range to not be bad, but
Dude, I really like that. So great catch there, Dawson. One of the things that I teach in the intensives, when it comes to getting to the net, transition as a serving team, if you're the serving team, there's really 2 shots to get to the net, right? And that's going to be a drop and a reset shot. Now you could throw in, let's say you hit a 3rd shot drive, right? That begins the process, but that doesn't get you up there.
Right.
So you can either 3rd shot drive, 5th shot drop, get in, 3rd shot drive, 5th shot drop, 7th shot reset, come in, or you can just go right to the drop on the 3rd and then the reset on the 5th. But I actually really like how you put that, because what I like to say is that, the better your resets are, the more you could come in on almost any ball that's kind of not shoulder high. Like you can make your approach could be more seamless and quicker.
For sure.
So that's good, man.
Yeah.
That's really good. I like that. Okay. What's the next one?
All right. Next question is from David Navu, and he's from Buffalo, New York.
Okay. All the way from
4 or 5
New York.
level, so he's up there. And the question is, when driving the ball, so we're now back on drives.
Okay.
When driving the ball, should your paddle tip when coming through be pointed at the ground, like paddle parallel to your body, or pointed away from the body, and at what degree? Is it the same when serving?
Okay, so this is a super technical question. Do you want to just kind of you want to read that one more time?
Yeah, for sure. So when driving the ball, should your paddle tip when coming through be pointed to the ground, like it's parallel to your body, or pointed away from the body, and at what degree? And is this the same as when you're serving?
Yeah, so really quick, and name was it David?
It was David.
Yeah, so thanks, David, for that question. Couple things to keep in mind. Your serve and drive motion, and if you look at all the pros, you look at someone really extreme with extreme grip, like a Kwang Duong, semi-Western, and then you look at someone more like, let's just say, we're just picking random people, but Federico Stacktrud, more with a slight Eastern grip or Eastern. Their drives and serves are the same motion when they talk about their own self. So Federico's drive, his serve is going to be very similar. Kwang Duong's serve and drive. So the angle of the paddle, I think, is going to vary definitely going to vary depending on the height of the ball, right? On a high ball, your paddle is probably going to be more linear. So that being said, right, if you're driving a ball that's waist level, I'm probably hitting it like this, and for those of you watching on YouTube, you can see. But if the ball's like below your knees, your paddle tip's going to be more down. So I don't think there's not a wrong or right, but the big key thing is if you're developing topspin and you're trying to hit the ball in, you got to drop that paddle below the ball, and the angle of where you're actually hitting the ball, it's going to vary too, depending on that height. I'm just going to show you a quick. This is not the best example. We'll just see. I don't know. This is like a long time ago. This is in Idaho, but I'm just going to take, this is an open serve, something I'm experimenting with. We'll take the closed stance serve, and we'll just see it here. But serves and drives, I'm not going to show both, but this is kind of a slow motion version here. And this is just me working on my serve. But here, let's pause it at contact, and let's just see. Let's see, Dawson, what do you see? Okay, so paddle drops down. There's that wrist lag, and then there's a contact. So in this way, right, I would say the paddle tip is maybe in a 40 degree angle, 45 degree angle. But this contact is at my thigh level. Right. And then I'm following through there.
Lots of topspin.
So again, it is going to vary, but really good question. The the big things that I would focus on your serves and drives, again, would really be your technique, and then how you set up for the ball. That's the biggest thing. We worked on that two-handed drive video a long time ago, Dawson, and it'd be good to actually revisit that to improve your two-hander again. But a big thing is your footwork, right?
100%.
All right. So go ahead. Next question, Dawson.
Sweet.
What do we got?
Next question is from Greg Smith from Maui, Hawaii.
Oh, Hawaii.
And he's playing at a 3-5 level, and his question is, in quotes, "Get a grip, Greg." And it says, after watching Jordan's Max Attack training program, which was excellent, by the way. Thanks, Greg. My question is about the suggested paddle grip when gaining the non-volley zone after a deep return or serve. Are you suggesting the Eastern forehand grip on the way in and then switching to the backhand ready position with the continental grip once the non-volley zone has been reached, or to follow the return of serve in the continental grip?
Really good. Really good. Okay. So, number one, Greg, thank you so much for supporting us there. Hopefully you're learning a lot in that masterclass on attacking. Okay, so let's just talk about grips really quick. Now, I can't show you all of them. We have a lot of videos on this, but the main grips we see in the game are continental, which is like the hammer grip here. And then we have Eastern, which is slightly over, which closes that paddle face. Those are the two main ones, at least in pickleball. So I would say different people do it differently, even the pros. So number one, I'll tell you what I do. So when I am setting up for a return, Greg, I am actually in a continental grip, because for me, it's easier. I could go from continental to Eastern if I need to hit a forehand return. Okay. And then in my continental grip, if I have a backhand, right, I'm gonna return two-handed backhand. I'm already in that grip. Some people do it the opposite. Some people would sit at Eastern, and then if it comes to their forehand, then it's already there. And then if it comes to their backhand, they'll switch to a backhand grip. So that's what I do. As soon as I get to the net, you're correct. I'm running in a continental grip because I have to expect a drive at higher levels. Like, I'm not worried about drops, right? I'm worried about getting in a good position, and then handling my counters, or hitting my counters really well. But again, at a high level, right, there are some players who will hold different grips at the line. So Eastern grip is totally plausible for counters on the forehand. For me, when it gets to my backhand, I don't like how my wrist is and how that paddle face is open. So I actually prefer just continental. You're gonna have to figure out, basically, Greg, what works for you. And the biggest key thing that I would say, how do we decide what works for us? After I return and get to the net, get to non-volley zone, Dawson, right? I have to make sure that I'm ready for the counter, either a forehand or a backhand. So if you're getting tangled up, or if your counters aren't crisp up at the net, then we need to make adjustment.
For sure.
Do you know what you're in, Dawson, when you get to the line? Yeah.
So I start full Western now. My serve or return is fully Western, which is something I've just started doing about a month ago. But soon as I return that ball, my first step I take, I go right back to continental.
Okay.
And I sit at continental even when I'm up at the line, up until that first ball comes. And then if I take a forehand roll, I'll kind of move it to a little bit Eastern.
Okay.
But I've really tried to take my mind off that and just kind of do what's natural, because I think overthinking it kind of messed me up.
Yeah, no, that's really good. So yeah, Greg, don't overthink it. But again, the biggest key thing is I have to hit my solid return, and when I get up there, I have to be ready for a drive.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, Dustin, what do we got?
So Greg actually has another question.
Okay.
Once the non-volley zone is gained and dinking starts, are you suggesting keeping the Eastern grip for forehand dinks and the continental grip for backhand strokes? The Eastern grip is a new wrinkle for me, but I do see some advantages in creating topspin, not only on dinks, but forehand ground strokes as well.
Yeah. So Greg, again, you're going to have to experiment with this. Most players, I would say 90% of the pro players out there, are in that Eastern grip. They are on their forehand side. A lot of them have adapted to staying in it and just learn how to volley everything like that on their backhand or use a two-hander. And a lot of them also have an Eastern grip on a forehand, then they change to their continental grip on their backhand. So you're going to have to figure out what works for you. I personally, anytime I hit a forehand shot off the bounce at least, okay, so what is that? Drive, drop, dink, and speed up. All those shots, I actually switch to Eastern. And then when it does come to my backhand, I switch back. Remember, when this is when the ball's bouncing because I have time. If I think the ball is going to get sped up at me, or if I don't have a lot of time, I will be in my counter position, which is my continental. So
yeah,
a lot of choices, but hopefully that helps you kind of navigate through that. All right.
Sweet. On to the next question from John in New York City. John says, what paddle do you use? My mod will no longer be legal. Using it since August and adjusted to it.
All right. So
Thank goodness.
before we get into that, Dawson, what do you think about the mod?
Oh my goodness.
And what do you use real quick?
Yeah. So I'm right now using the PaddleTech Bantam TKO CX. It's the longer handle version. I use the 12.7 millimeter just for the extra pop. I think it plays good. I would say just as hard as like a Gen 3S with a little more control. Maybe not just as hard, but pretty hard.
Yeah.
I can't stand the mod. I'll be honest. Soon as before my opponent, as they say 002 and I see a mod in their hand, I scoot back a couple feet. I just think there shouldn't be that big of a difference in paddles. Look at a Lux and a mod, right? I mean, you could take the hardest serving person in the world and you're still going to see a slower serve with a Lux in their hand versus a mod.
Okay.
So I'm glad it's gone, but
all right.
That's me. I don't use one.
Yeah, well, we're going to keep you updated on that. Follow our Bruins Pickleball reviews channel. We review a lot of stuff. We're going to hopefully, maybe we'll talk about that on next pod. But name again on that?
John.
From New York.
Yep.
John, thank you for that question. What he was asking what paddles I use.
Mm-hmm.
So John, and anyone watching, you guys know I'm a Selkirk guy. Obviously, I'm with Selkirk. They support us, so I'm in between. There's so many different paddles. The Lux here, the Old Faithful, I call it. I've been using for a lot of years, but very soft. Not a lot of power, the softest paddle. And then I'm trying the 007 right now. But again, with any harder paddle, usually you're going to lose surface area and sweet spot and touch. But either way, to be totally unbiased, John, there's a lot of great paddles out there. Make sure you find something that you're comfortable with. And everyone asks me, what kind of paddle I would suggest. The biggest key thing is that I think James Ignatowicz said this on his podcast one time, but you really want to use something that, the way he put it, the most powerful, but that you can control. And I think the second part is the most important. So with all these power paddles coming to the market, if you can't control them, which means resets, drops, and dinks, and keeping those down, then you probably should use something else. And again, certain paddles that are softer, they're going to be easier to control just because of the sweet spot and other factors. But so again, anyone listening to this, don't just go for power. Power is great. We will have to see what happens in 2025. There's already been a lot of paddle bans, so we're just gonna have to keep updated with that. But that being said, man, pick something like. All right,
I agree. Another thing to add real quick is when you go to buy a paddle, most places let you try out paddles. So try out everything, see what you like. That's what I did at least.
Okay.
Okay. Next question's from a local. We've got Waters Davis from Tucson, Arizona.
All right, Tucson.
Yeah, we got a local AZ. Okay. What is the best third shot to hit when receiving a deep, hard topspin serve? Return. Topspin serve return. Sorry.
Yeah.
Left out a word.
All right. Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Okay. So now, this is a big thing nowadays. Players, back in my heyday when, when I was competing a lot, even when I started, there was really no one returning with topspin. Everyone was returning kind of flat, lofty, and width slice. So obviously dealing with topspin returns makes it way tougher. And not only are they deep, but they have a lot of pace. Now they're kicking at you. So those can be tough to drop at times. And either way, whether it's topspin, slice, or just a flat ball that's fast, any ball that's close to that baseline is tough to handle.
Yeah.
Right? Topspin adds another layer on that. But again, if I'm not in great position and it's kind of, pushing me back, I don't like balls, that are hit at me and are pushing me back in general. So what I want to do is first, I need to set my feet. So first thing first, and what's the name on this?
That was Davis Waters.
Okay. Davis Waters. Waters Davis. Thank you so much for the question. Number one, I would say if you're struggling with this, you really have to look at your positioning first. That's just the first thing. So if you're like serving or something, your partner's serving, you're standing right at that at that baseline, and now these returns are coming at you, you're already going to be a step behind if they're really hitting those returns every time. So number one, I would give yourself some room. Secondly, if I feel like I can drop it really well, I'll drop it. But like Dawson said, hitting a drive, if you have a good one, is a very effective play, because then you can just, hit that or get that easier fifth shot drop because of the fourth shot counter or fourth shot volley, which usually doesn't have topspin, by the way. This is the benefit of driving. The returns will have topspin, but when I drive it really low, that volley coming back won't have topspin. Now it could still be deep and it could still be hard, but it's most of the time flat, and then it's kind of in front of me. So again, that's what I would do. Again, if it's really tough. So that being said, you got to work on your drives. That's why it's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Next question from Barbara, and she lives in Orlando. The question is it possible to go from a 3.5 to a 4.0 in 1 year for a 65-year-old woman? What would it take to do that?
Wow. Okay. So a lot of variables here. And sorry, the name was what? Barbara, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Thank you so much for subscribing. I will say this, okay? So again, without seeing you, now I work with hundreds of players from all over. A 3.5 to a 4.0 is very doable for most players. Okay, now Barbara, I haven't seen your game, right? I don't know where you're at, but when we're talking about moving up a half level, and let's just call it, in your age group, because usually, right, if whatever age you are, you're going to be playing in that same age group. So to move up a half a level is very, very doable for most players. Now, I can guess. She said she's 65, right? Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I hope I'm still playing at 65.
Yeah.
But 3.5 to 4.0, these are, the main things I could give you, without seeing your game. The biggest things that I would improve on is basically the first 5 or 6 shots. Improve your serve, improve your returns, your third shot choice, right? So that involves driving and dropping. And then your fourth, if you are the returner, right? We just talked about improving your returns, but really improving your counterattacking, right? As players are driving at you, dropping at you, whether you're countering out of the air as a volley or they're hitting a drop and now you're really being aggressive off the bounce. And then your fifth shot, right? Really the first 5 shots are really important. So what are you going to do after the fifth or, after your third shot? If you drive it, what are you going to do? Are you going to drop it or drive it again? Okay. But really, I would say we're working on those skills. So the serve, the return, we got drives and drops and counter volleys. Again, there's so many things to work on, but really fundamentally, from 3.5, if you're in that 3.5 level and you're 65, 75, 35, 45, if you're in that 3.5 level and you're trying to get to 4.0, fundamentals is really just like the most important thing. So like we have a lot of videos on footwork, even improving that. Improving positioning. Dawson, we talked about this a lot in our videos, but I'm sure you've learned this and you picked it up early, but shading, right? Moving and following the ball.
Yeah.
you will get beat in the middle. You'll get beat down the line, right? If you don't develop those good habits. So stick to those, and that'll give you a good start to 4-0 for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What do we got?
Next question is from Eric Sungkyon from Osaka, Japan.
Oh, Saka. Hey, I just that was awesome, man. Hey.
All right.
What do you think? Is your favorite Japanese food, Dawson? You like sushi?
Oh, man. No, I don't like sushi.
Oh man,
I do like every type of ramen. I'm a big ramen guy.
Okay.
Authentic ramen. I love authentic.
Is ramen Japanese? I think so.
They have it in Japan.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. What was his name?
Eric.
Oh, Eric.
Sungkyon. I'm probably saying that wrong, but I'm not Japanese.
Okay. All right.
All right. Here's the question.
What do we got?
What are the key strategies when playing with less mobile gender doubles partners? And on a different topic, when playing rec games, my mindset leans towards aggressiveness. However, in tournaments, I tend to play the safe game and thus become more reactive. What are key steps in changing my tournament mindset? That's a good one.
Great question. Ask the first one really quick.
Yeah.
Again.
What are key strategies when playing with a less mobile gender doubles partner?
Yeah, that's really tough. And we do this all the time, right? You show up to rec play. There's someone that's less mobile or maybe older, depending how old you are when you're playing. Whatever, right? There are some things. Obviously, when you have someone like that, okay, the first thing that I would say is it's really important when they are returning, okay? Dawson, yeah, I know you've played with a lot of different mixed bag.
Oh, yeah.
When they're returning, you have to put pressure on that fourth shot. So what does that mean? So they're returning. Obviously, they're still coming up. They're a lot less mobile. But now your opponents are going to be driving the ball. They're going to be trying to catch them in transition. And they know that that's like a weak, spot for your team. So you have to be crowding the middle. You have to start making your opponents think, hitting down the line. And if you can actually get that first volley, gives your opponent or your partner time to come in. We call that the help volley. And then now, they're in and you can be dominant at the net.
Yeah.
That's number one. And then obviously, again, there's so many different variables here. Eric, right? Mm-hmm. So many different variables, Eric. But again, when it comes to lobs and things like that, if you are the quicker one, just communicating that stuff early, you know that you're going to be going on a lot of them and you guys are going to be switching. Another thing is anything that, when you guys are back at the baseline and they could be hitting some drop shots, that's going to happen. That's probably going to be you too. So just really early communication on who's getting what balls. And then having your partner, if they know that you're covering them in front of them or behind them, that they're switching over.
For sure.
So early communication, obviously there's a lot more, but I would start with those.
Yeah, I think that's great. And then his second question was the tournament play, how to get out of that safe mindset and play.
Yeah, so I remember playing tournaments and doing this actually a lot and getting... I think the more tournaments you play, it gets a lot easier.
100%. But
the very first, number one, Dawson agreed, play more tournaments. Number two, it's really, okay, if you're trying to reprogram your brain to more aggressiveness, which is great because we have to kind of overcorrect a little bit. So if you're super passive, now if you're the opposite, right? If you're aggressive, so many mistakes and stuff, we have to dial it back, right? But there's a lot of players in this boat. They start the game super passive. They're defensive. Now their opponents are gaining momentum. Okay, so if you want to, work on that, attack early and attack first. That's what I would say. Now, I've even heard, pros talk about this. I've talked to a lot of it. This is why even if you have a good drive, this is why, like, if I were to play, when I could play competitively and I'm not even warmed up yet or totally confident with my drops, that's why I will not drop thirds.
Right.
I will drive every third so that I get not only the blood flowing, I get a mindset of more attacking. And then if I get any weak counters back, I'm going to actually drive the fifth, right? Until they can force me to do that kind of thing, and then or force me to drop my fifth or seventh or whatever. And then on my returns, I'm really aggressive with my fourths. So if they are driving their thirds at me, or if they're dropping, I'm really trying to find offensive early. I'm not just blocking, right? The worst thing you can do if you're trying to get out of this mindset is just kind of just play I really want you like being aggressive, you don't have to go for winners. The thing is, this is one thing you can do. You don't have to go for the lines. Just go right down the middle of the court and go hard, like go at the feet, go hard. And hopefully that will just start to train. Try it next time you play. The first 5 points, be really aggressive. Now, that doesn't mean just totally be dumb and just swing out of your shoes and hit shots that you can't make, right? And go for a Burt or something like that. It means try to find the your attack super early, and just go for them and live with that. And then you can, and then hopefully that will translate into a little bit more aggressive play.
Yeah, I mean I agree perfectly. I think when I started playing tournaments, I had the same exact mindset. I know exactly. I mean, that's so fresh to me. I know exactly what Eric's talking about, where it's like, but if I drive and I mess up, what if I drive it into the net? What if I drive it and they leave it and it goes out? And so I start playing really safe. And then I feel like they're dominating the entire court and I'm just on defense 99% of the time. And I think that, time and more tournaments is one thing that helped me huge.
Yeah.
And the other thing, like you were saying, is attacking first. And something I'd add real quick, Eric, is the same way you're trying to play it safe. Think about the people you're playing against are also in that tournament, and they're also thinking the same mindset.
Yep.
And and you're at a 4-0 level, right? It says. So I think that's like a perfect time where you can start to look at what are their weaknesses and what are they messing up more on, right? I mean, the last tournament I played, I noticed the game before we got knocked out of the tournament, but I didn't think we were going to win it at first. And then I realized every single time my teammate drops and she hits a perfect drop, they hit kind of a crappy return volley to her and it's floating a little bit. So I realized, okay, I can start crashing those and attack first. So I'd, try it once and then the next time I'd leave it and then I'd do it twice in a row and then I'd, leave one. And I started realizing they're just giving her that. And so I think looking for the attack, and even if you need to take a timeout and say, hey teammate, how can we attack strategically? But like you said, attacking first.
That's awesome, man. Great.
All right. Next question from Linda Marquish. Marquish. I'm going with it. From CT.
Connecticut.
Oh, right? Connecticut.
Right?
Sure.
CT? Yeah.
Yeah. Connecticut. Okay. All right. When will you offer a coach's clinic? Looking for a 2 to 4 day on-court experience, not online. I'm a certified pickleball instructor and certified HPE/science teacher, and always looking to improve my skill and stay current. Attended Tyson McGuffin's camp and enjoyed picking up some pointers from Kyle Mack and Andre D, but the pace was too slow and not enough content covered due to the number of people and varied abilities.
Yeah, Linda, thanks for the question. I very, very, very briefly glanced over the questions. I did see, this is one of them I saw. Do me a favor, everyone. If you're listening, comment below, send us an email, support@brionespickleBall.com. Let me know. I would like to see who's interested in some coaching stuff. I've been thinking about this. This will definitely happen sometime in the future, depending on how many people maybe reach out. Maybe it will happen sooner. We'll see. But Linda, I would love to work with coaches like yourself. I think it's really important as the game is evolving that players, and not only players, but coaches have a good understanding of not only where the game is headed, but why it's headed that way. And what are you kind of just figuring out, what are we teaching? Why are we teaching it? And is it applicable to the growing game? Now, someone like me, I do pride myself in evolving as a coach and also my players at the same time. So I'm constantly That's why I constantly watch pickleball, always looking. I'm constantly playing so I can start implement things. But Linda, thanks so much. Thank you for that. And you're on our email list, so we will definitely keep you updated for that. On that.
Cool. All right. Next one from his name is Still Injured Ed Ham.
Okay.
Ed's not better yet. From Washington, D.C. And the question is, in singles, when do you approach the net? Most men get to the kitchen line almost every time after the serve, whereas women do not. Is it because their wingspan or lack thereof comparison with men? In tennis, almost always the players stay back in the middle. Do you recommend the same approach for pickleball? Much mahalo.
Okay. Thanks so much for that question. And yes, couple differences. I played a lot of tennis. Tennis court's way bigger. It's a large area to cover, so you can't just come in on the return because you're going to get passed. Now, that being said, we'll just really talk about, and I'm going to talk about the pros right now. I'm not talking about amateurs, but this could kind of dovetail into that. The pros, yes, for the guys, right? Wingspan is a big one, and I would say quickness, right? A lot of them are, just genetically, I would say a little bit quicker than the ladies, and not only that, but they're taller.
Yeah,
they're taller, so they can cover more ground in less steps, and they could so to the net and cover more ground in less steps when we talk about covering the the sidelines. So that being said, whatever level you are, right? Not on gender, but whatever level you are and how quick you are and what your mobility is, that is going to decide if you're going to or if you should come in or not. So number one, I would only come in on really good returns, right? That are headed hopefully towards a weakness of your opponent. If your returns are in that transition zone and they're super short, I would probably just stay back. The women, they're really, really good. Great returns, great ground strokes. So they're a little bit more patient, at least in the pro game. And soon as you see them hit a very good ground stroke or return, you'll see them come in and close. The men they just do it a lot earlier. They usually do it in the that second shot. One of the things though, so hopefully that answer helped. But one of the things I do want to mention as the game is evolving, what I think is going to be interesting, Dawson. This is one of my my guesses, or this is what I foresee even in the men's game. I think as the game grows, more pro men are going to stay back actually, like the ladies. Now, this is if the paddles are still going to be poppier. There's the athletes, everyone's ground strokes are getting better. We're seeing that already in the men's, but they're still coming up at a high clip.
Right.
But we are seeing a lot of points now where players are staying back, and it's effective. So we're seeing where someone hits the serve, and then what we're seeing is the returner absolutely crushed their return, right? So let's say they don't come in.
Right.
Now the server's on the run now, right? And now the server hits a weak ball, right? And then now you can then hit the next ball, crush the next ball in the corner, and then come in. So that can work. But regardless, come in when you can, when you know that your ball is in a tough position for your opponent to hit, and you have them on the move. That's what I would do. Again, there's a lot of different variables. I play a lot of singles. I watch a lot of singles, but I would stick with that.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it, man.
I got nothing to add.
Okay.
My singles game is not there yet. Yeah.
All right.
So, all right. Next question is from John Bezak from Greenville, South Carolina. And the question is, how critical is a two-hand backhand for becoming a 5-0? It's a good one.
Oh, you know what? What a great question, John.
Very good.
Hey, John. How you doing, man? Good to hear from you. How critical? Okay, so how can I answer this? How critical is a two-handed backhand for becoming a 5-0? So here we go. Here's my answer. 5 to 7 years ago, especially when I started, It was not critical at all. Okay. Not only was it critical, you did not even, it was zero necessity for a two-handed backhand. Now in today's game, how it's evolved, how it's improved. Do I think, so here's my answer. In short, can someone become a 5-0 player without a two-handed backhand? Of course. Yeah. We're seeing players like, let's see if I can find a few, but I mean, Matt Wright, okay? He's starting to slowly bring random shots in there, but no two-handed backhand at a pro level. Tyson McGuffin. There you go. Thank you, Dawson. Yeah. Now, the reason why it's taking me so long to list them because it's not a long list.
Right.
What does a two-hander offer, John? It offers so much when we talk about attacking and stability. So the two-hander, obviously, for digs, resets, those kinds of things, we know every pro you will use two hands in transition at times. But when it comes to attacking, so drives, speed ups off the bounce, topspin dinks. Those are the three that are essential when it comes to high-level attacking. Now, you can become a 5-0 without them, but it's very, very difficult to actually put pressure on your opponents if you just have a one-hander. And that being said, in the last final, I think it was Daytona. Did you see that, Dawson? Okay. So our boy here now from Arizona, CJ Klinger.
Oh, yeah. I watched
CJ Klinger and Andre Diascu, they won that, and they actually beat JW and I think it was Gabe Tardio. Mm-hmm. And as good, and this is just from a coach's perspective, but as good as JW is, and he's amazing, what shot was getting picked on? It was his backhand. It was his backhand slice dink. Now, even though 99%, 0.999 repeating of the world, JW could out dink and outlast everyone on that backhand side, they're picking on that one-handed backhand slice because JW plays on the left, because there's not offense from there. He could get it back, but anytime someone opens up like this, that paddle, they're not attacking, number one. Then number two, you know that you're going to get something back. Now, it could be aggressive slice, but it's not going to be what a two-hander could be. Right. So, yeah, John, long answer, I know. I want to be really thorough with these answers. Not necessary, but man, I would develop it. So yeah, that's it.
I think just watch some 5-0s play and try to find one that doesn't use a two-hand, because it's going to be a challenge. And then from there, maybe go up and ask them for some tips on a two-hand. But
hey, that was a way faster answer. Okay, there you go.
Well, yours was more more important. Okay. From Lisa out of Central New York. Lots of New York.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to NY.
Exactly. I guess there's a lot of pickleball in New York. I seem to often hit the ball up only to get it slammed back at me. Is it more of my footwork, stance, or the way I hit? I'm not a tennis player and do not have the fitness and the ability to hit the same way good tennis players do. I do hit the ball really hard and try for accuracy over speed, hoping this will come over time. Thank you for all your tutorials. They've been very helpful to my game.
Sorry, name on that again, Dawson? Lisa, thank you so much. And the beginning of that question basically was she pops up a lot of balls, basically, right?
Yeah.
Lisa, it's tough. It's tough because I can't see it. Come to a 5-day intensive, Lisa. Or I love to see you sometime. But first thing, Lisa, is I've been coaching so many players and so many players in your shoes. The biggest key things, I'm going to give you two, okay? 2 things why players pop up the ball. Number 1 is your positioning. Now, what do I mean by that? Positioning not only where you are, but creating space, okay? We talked about that when we worked together, Dawson. Creating space, utilizing your footwork. So footwork is huge. That's going to be the number 1 culprit. If the ball is jamming you, if it's too close, if the ball's too far, you're reaching. Those kinds of things. Those are hard things to practice when you don't see them. This is why getting a coach or getting someone to see what you're doing is a really good thing. So I do encourage that. But that's number 1. Number 2 is going to be related closely to your technique, but it's going to be your swing, right? If you're popping up balls at the end of the day, Dawson, you can think about this where it's popping up resets, popping up dinks, popping whatever. It really has to do with the size and the speed of your swing. So when I hit a dink and I hit a really, let's say it's a volley dink, right? Someone's hitting on my feet and I hit a volley dink. I could hit it perfectly like this, right? But if I like push that, let's say 3 inches more than it needs to be, what is it in high low? It's going to be a little bit popped up. Now it's going to be flicked. It's going to be flicked at me, right? So it really is gauging, how much or, how the least amount of force you need to put into the ball for it not to pop up. But starts with your footwork, and then again, your swing speed and how you hit the ball is like critical. And I know that that's a tough one, but keep working on it. Again, creating space, making sure that you're not jammed up. And just in general, if you are popping up the ball a lot, look at where your contact is. Film a video of yourself
for sure
playing a game up at the non-volley zone, and look if you're like hitting the ball really close to your feet a lot, or if you're reaching a lot. If your paddle is actually contacting the ball really close to your shoes all the time, or you're reaching and you're looking like this, let's see, when you're hitting a lot, then you're going to probably pop the ball out. So
what do you think about starting to drill as a way to maybe videoing drilling? Even at, the 3035 level, what do you think about that drilling, and is that something you'd suggest?
Of course, Dawson. Thank you. No, Dawson knows. Great question, Dawson. Yeah, drilling is the most important thing. And on the match play, I said record match play. Actually, that's better. Yeah, record a drilling session of you drilling dinks, whatever shot you're popping up, drilling skinny singles. Literally grab somebody, play a game to 5 points. 5 points. Regular scoring, and you will find out a lot about your game. And I would actually watch it in half speed, and you'll find out a lot. But drilling these shots is really important. Drilling your footwork, your spacing. So keep working on it. Thanks for the question. All right.
Next question is from Linda in California.
Okay.
And the question is, what is the best way to combine tennis and pickleball? Would it be best to focus on when trying? What would be best to focus on when trying to play? And then just thank you.
Okay. So Linda, I don't think we would be getting a question like that if you weren't a tennis player, I assume here. But, there's so many benefits of being a tennis player. So I know I teach a lot of players. So when tennis players come to me, a lot of them I'm trying to get my tennis game out. I'm trying to slow the game down. But a lot of people, on the opposite side, would love to have what tennis players have, which is ground strokes and things like that. So what would I would focus on? Your serves, your court positioning, your drives, your attacking. That's all there. If you're a tennis player, you played at some sort of level that's, even a mid-tier quality, you have that in your game. So continue with, attacking, driving your thirds, learning that stuff. Obviously, we have to be smart with, what balls we're attacking. If it's really low at our feet, we have to be resetting. And obviously, as a tennis player, myself, former tennis player, the soft game, right, is the big thing. I have to work on my resets. I have to work on my drops. But never get rid of the aggression that you have had from tennis, and your ground strokes and your serves, your returns, those kinds of things as a tennis player are, that's what sticks with me and volleys and just fast hands. So keep that going.
Sweet. All right. Next question. We might want to save this one till the end, but
really?
It's from Brian Root, and he's from Florida, and he says, since it sounds like Ben and Colin are breaking up, has Ben approached you to fill Colin's spot? Would that be incentive enough to dive into the pro ranks? Will you throw up your hands like Colin on every net cord?
Yes, I'll throw up my hands just for fun. But no, Ben will never call me. Now, would that be an incentive enough? I would love to play one tournament. That'd be really fun. Nah, that call's not happening. Ben has a lot of people to choose from. That might have been a joking question, but no. Yeah. You know what? It's just going to be interesting in general to see what happens with Ben and who he plays with. So I'm just excited to see
You know what would be fun?
Yeah.
If in the comments of this podcast, everyone puts a comment of who they think Ben is going to choose.
Oh, okay.
And then we can see who's right and maybe.
All right.
Maybe
All
on
right.
the-
Put a comment below. Who do you think is Ben's first partner in 2025?
Is it going to be Jordan Briones?
Probably not.
Who knows?
Probably not, but we'll see. All right.
Okay. Next question is from Deborah in Florida as well. Lots of younger people are playing and are more agile and more forceful than I am. I try to play strategic game, but they overwhelm me. What can I do?
Yep. What's the name on that again?
Deborah
from Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
Deborah, thanks so much for the question. When I hear those words, overwhelm, strategic, it sounds like, right? And you tell me, you read between the lines as well, Dawson, but I just have coached so many players. So, overwhelming, you try to play a strategy game, those kinds of things. Usually that refers to I'm trying to outsmart them because of the pace, right? So number one, the strategy part's really important, trying to put them in different situations where they are off balance and it's hard for them to attack. But typically, just the big thing I find here is I do think that you should work on, number one, your counterattacking, because it sounds like they're attacking you a lot. So working on counters. If there was one thing on that 2025 list, it would be working on counterattacks for you. And secondly, and the reason why I say that is because if you're trying to play a strategic game and you're trying to do all that, probably because you're not attacking first, right? So that's another thing. So the other thing to work on in 2025 is your actual attacking, actually initiating. So when we talk about who's initiating and who is receiving the attack, the initiator, the thing about the good thing, if we're playing Dawson and I get a ball and let's say we dink 20 times, right? We're dinking, whatever. I mean, whoever initiates, here's the beauty of initiating the attack. You're the first one that knows it's going fast.
True. That's true.
Right? So even I could still be ready. I could still be ready for it. But you're the first one that knows the ball is going to come hard. So when let's say your speed was terrible,
right?
But I counterattack it back, you knew it. So you should at least be kind of prepped for, oh shoot, there might be a fast ball coming back.
For sure.
So for the initiator, as you're learning how to attack more and just experimenting with that, I think it's really important to practice that skill of initiating first.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Which if you're trying to learn how to initiate first, there's a great course for that. So.
Oh yeah, head on to attackmasterclass.com. We'd love to see you over there, teach you about attacking. All right, what do we got?
All right, next question is from
Dawson.
Ross in Florida.
Another Florida. Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Apparently Florida all saw the video at the same time and just decided to respond. So the question is, my backhand flick seems to not have enough power. Are there any exercises to strengthen the proper muscles so that my flick becomes a lot stronger?
Yeah. Man, is it Ross? Hey, Ross. The one shot I'm working on in my game in 2025 is the flick on the backhand side. It's not a natural shot for me. Obviously, I had to play at a high level. I can do it. But as I'm doing it, I'm experimenting with a lot of different techniques. I probably will come up with a very specific video in the future. But I'm learning, obviously, forearm, right, on both sides, and then your wrist. It's a lot of work. Actually, Dawson, you could talk about this. Dawson, you've actually hurt your wrist doing this shot.
Yeah, for sure. It was a rough day. That sucked. I was trying to hit a backhand flick, and like exactly Ross's issue, I felt like I wasn't hitting it with enough power. So one of the times I grabbed my paddle, I'm in my Eastern grip, the ball comes to me, it's perfectly floating, it's like slow motion, and I flick it as hard as I can, and I just feel a pop on the top of my wrist.
Oh man.
And I was like, uh-oh. And then for the rest of the day, it was just really swollen. And 2 days later, it was blue. And it sucked for like 2 weeks.
Oh, my gosh.
Anytime I went and played the PPA, and I was trying my best not to flick a ball because my wrist hurt so bad. I was using 2-hand rolls. And so it's a tough one.
It's a tough one. But Ross, what I would say is anything where you're working out your wrists here like this, you could grab a dumbbell, and I've been doing some of these. There's this thing on Amazon that you can turn like this and has a weight.
The rope and weight.
Yeah,
those are so cool.
So doing that for your forearms. But one thing I would say, Caden Niemoff, he's my co-host, and one of the things he said that I actually found out was surprising. He doesn't actually practice his flicks. What he means by that, I was like, what are you talking about, dude? He has like really great flick. No, what he means by he doesn't like drill it, because it will hurt after. So he's not sitting there hitting 1,000 flicks. So I think the shot just in general is so what is the word? It's a lot. It's a lot of wear and tear on your wrists and stuff like that. There's so many other shots that you can practice that are a little bit safer, but obviously, yes, at 4.5 to 5.0, if you are in that category, this backhand flick is a huge shot, something I'm working on this year. But strengthening that wrist, strengthening those forearms is going to be big. So,
and what do you think about, if you look at flicks, the difference between like Gabe's flick, Gabe Tardio, and Ben Johns' more roll with the shoulder? Do you think maybe if he's having issue with the power on it, using more shoulder, or what do you think on that?
Yeah, well, the flick and the roll, I would classify them as kind of two totally different shots.
For sure.
Ben actually, if you watch him, he doesn't really have a flick.
Yeah, not really.
He doesn't have it. The best backhand flicks, I would say in this game, would be a Tardio, would be a Patriquin. I'm trying to think of adding another.
J-dubs aren't terrible.
Oh, JWs with the backhand. Yeah, so those are the top three I can think of. But again, and something, thinking about this, someone like Ben, he uses his dinks, and he has more of a upwards roll, and he uses a lot less wrist, basically. So there are other ways of attacking. They're just different, but you don't have to have that shot. But it is a shot I'm working on, just because it's very effective. It gets on that shot gets on you quick. So
sweet. Okay, to move on from Sue B.
Cincinnati. Okay, Ohio.
Best way to hit the opponent's feet when playing bangers.
All right. Well, that's a big one. Thank you. And hopefully you've seen our stuff on beating bangers. We have a lot of content on that now. Join our email list if you're listening to this. I'll have something hopefully below. You can join any of the opt-ins. You can join our email list down in the description. But beating bangers, again, that counter volley is the most important thing. When I think about bangers, right, or when anyone thinks about bangers, they're hitting from the baseline. You're at the net or almost at the net. You have to practice your counterattacking.
For sure.
And there's no other way to do it. Well, you could get a ball machine. You can have someone hit drives at you, or you can just practice it in a game. But you have to get comfortable with pace. And for those of you who are struggling, really utilizing your shoulder, and in your tricep, and really pushing that ball out there with force. The biggest key thing, and the problem that I see with players counterattacking at lower levels or playing bangers that are just absolutely demolishing them, is they're just blocking like this. They kind of just boop, and then that counter is not effective. So in 2025, if you're listening to this, work on your counterattacking and make sure you're really, really pushing that ball out. Whether you have a two-hander or a one-hander, make sure that you're really pushing out with force, and that ball is going to hopefully get a lot closer to their feet.
Sweet.
That's what we got.
All right, next question from Bill in Virginia. What's the best defense against the shake and bake attack?
Okay. All right. Best defense. So if you're listening to this, you don't know what a shake and bake is. It's basically, Usually happens on a shorter return, but in today's game with the paddles, even on deep returns, this is happening. Somebody is driving the ball on their third, and then we got their partner crashing in, right? This happens a lot. The best way, I'm just so that we can get through these as a few more questions here. I know we're coming up on an hour here. The number one, work on your returns. When you can work on your returns, you have a better, you're going to have a better positioning, strong position at the net. And then we just talked about it, your counters, right? For the shake and bake, right? They're dipping balls at your feet, or maybe they're just jamming you up. You have to work on strong counters. And if there was one tip, there's a lot, but if there's one thing you can focus on, usually the shake and bake will happen in the middle of the court. Right, so they're driving with a forehand and backhand, and now your and players and their partner they're really, getting to that middle of the court so that they can do that. So if you can actually keep your volleys strong volleys closer, right, not hitting the sidelines, but if you could kind of keep it away from the middle a little bit, that actually helps a lot. So work on your counters and try to keep your initial volley from the drive more away from the middle, down and away from the middle, preferably. But that's the biggest key thing.
Yep. Back to counters again.
Back to counters.
All right. Next question from Dano in Chicago. The question is, where should I be releasing the ball when I serve if I'm right-handed?
Yeah. Different people release it differently. I just showed a video again. Now only in the pros you're not allowed to toss the ball up. This is a big misconception, and we're coming out with the video soon, but you can actually toss the ball up as high as you can. But obviously we need to follow the rules where you hit it below the net and things like that. So if you're watching this on YouTube, this is just one of my serves, but this is my tip here. Okay. Number one tip for where should you release the ball? Number one, out in front of you. One of the biggest mistakes is I see players release the ball like in front of if I'm in a closed stance serve like this, right? And you're releasing the ball in front of your belly button, your contact's not going to be good. So if you are watching YouTube, I'm in a closed stance here. There's a video about to play and I'm releasing the ball in front of me. The other thing I would say is I want you to see this, Dawson, whether we do a close hand reset release or open hand release. What do you do?
Close hand.
Yeah, so close hand or open hand, regardless of what you do, you can see in this video. What does it look like, Dawson? Does it look like I'm throwing it up or
no? You just lift it and drop it.
Yeah, so the biggest key thing where I see players go wrong is on the release and really messes up their timing and everything. They actually throw it in, and now there's a lot of variances. Right, the biggest key thing with your release or your toss or whatever you're doing on your serve is that you release it from the same point. So if we can keep our release very consistent, that's the biggest key thing. I like to release it. You can see in this video here, I release it just under my, I would say, chest level, just under my chest level, above my navel, and then I allow it to drop below my waist. So there's that. All right.
Cool. Sweet. Next question is from Bernadetti in Hawaii.
Bernadetti.
Okay. I hope I'm saying that right.
Hopefully.
So the question is, there are many aspects of the game that have changed since its recent revival, which is pre-COVID, he says. The third shot drop has changed into drive or drop. The long dink rallies have evolved into taking any shot which is possible to speed up and attack. And the passive serve has developed into a decal bar type of power opportunity. What do you think is next on the list? What's the next big change?
Oh, man, that's a good one. Okay, so all those I agree with, obviously, with some parameters. Yes, serves are getting bigger. Attacking is getting more. And what was the other thing?
Speed ups, I think.
Speed ups. Yeah, next on the list, I would say, you know what? I've experimented with a full semi-Western grip like a Kwang Duong.
Yeah.
I think more players are going to be, if I see the trends, more players, just because players are coming from tennis, and with that grip, you could get the ball to dip down a lot more. I think we're going to be seeing that grip a lot more, and actually players maybe speeding up and attacking in that. But just in general, nothing I can see like strategy wise, because the more attacking at the kitchen line, off the bounce, and also out of the air, that's going to continue to happen just more often. And what you will see, what we've seen in the past, obviously players are waiting for like the perfect ball and things like that. What we're seeing in today's game, I mean, if you can hit players, even if they're, and we're talking about pro players here, but even if they're slightly a little bit out of position, a little tiny bit off balance, you're going to still see them attack early if they can hit a good spot. And when it comes to attacking anything out of the air, off the bounce, the most important thing is that you're hitting the right spot, because you can be in a perfect position, Dawson, and you've probably done this, like ball balance, you hit a wrong spot, you hit it at their chest and they're countering it back. But if you can attack, if you can find a good spot to attack your opponent early on the match, this is what we're talking about, attacking early.
Yeah.
Right now, obviously, if you can't, then you're forced to dink or drop or whatever. But if you could find something early, we're just going to see that. I do think there's going to be a mix. There's certain matchups, right? In the pro ranks, there's going to be certain teams that you're going to see extended dink rallies, very extended dink rallies. And then there's going to also be certain teams where they're going to be attacking early and often. There's going to be a balance there, but that's what I see.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Going to keep evolving, man.
Sweet. All right. Next question is from Ron in British Columbia.
Okay.
Outside of the U.S.
Ron.
So the question is about noise, and it says, there are more and more confrontations in neighborhood parks around noise. Some parks are even shutting down the courts. Is there anything we can do, or is there anything in the works to change this irritating noise?
Yeah, I mean, besides, hey, shout out to Diadem is sent.
Hush.
They're actually sending us some stuff for paddle reviews. Yeah, there's certain paddles nowadays that they're making quiet, like the Diadem Hush, and obviously there are balls. Gamma, I know, makes a ball, but they're foam balls. They don't play the same way. I do think the paddles, and I'm gonna receive them next week, but some of the paddles today are very, very quiet. Now they are not USA approved, I believe, but we will just have to see. I mean, unless the ball changes, unfortunately, this sport is just a loud music to my ears. But
so nice. Yeah.
But to other people, dinking pickleball, it's not a great noise. But unless we change the material of the ball, I don't see it getting quieter. That's unfortunately just what we're working with.
To add to that real quick, because I recently had an issue with that. Actually, I found this little court in a neighborhood in Gilbert, and it was in the middle of a neighborhood, about an acre of grass on each side. And I used to play there with friends like every night, and we'd play till late. We'd play till 11, 12. They had lights.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. One night, the cops randomly showed up and were like, "Hey, you guys can't play here. It's too late." And I'm thinking, okay, they didn't just drive by and see us. So they said one of the neighbors called. So when we went back to play, one of the neighbors was outside, and I was just like, "Hey, man, look, like, did you call? Does this bother you?" And I just got in a big conversation with the guy, about why I like pickleball, what it is for me. And just talking through it with the person, they started to understand a little more. And he was like, "Okay, look, can you just end by 10:30? That's when we put our baby to sleep." And so it was kind of just like this. I think fixing the noise is less of the issue, and the bigger thing is just being friendly with people and kind of realizing that other people have lives too. And even if your life is pickleball, their life might not be. So I don't know. I think whoever's complaining, try to get their perspective on it. And then if they're just a jerk and just hate pickleball, then ignore them and keep playing.
I like that. Awesome, man.
All right.
Hey, really quick. We're definitely, if you're still listening to this, thank you so much. we're definitely gonna have to split this up. We're probably gonna go for 3-4 hours here, but you know what? We're gonna do the last 2 questions.
Cool.
Just really quick. Okay, if you do want to get a question in, I want to be doing these at least once a month or something along those lines.
Sweet.
Check the description below. Fill out a question, or write it in a question for me. Love to answer it, and hopefully this is helpful to a lot of you. So we'll do 2 more.
Sweet.
And then we want to celebrate 2025 with you guys.
Awesome. All right, from James Patires,
all right,
from Virginia. The question is, I struggle with volley shots to my body, especially as they get lower. I tried reset and return, but miss contact and get hit. That sucks.
Yeah.
Getting bodied.
Yeah, it's tough to see. Was it James?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks James for sending in that. Without seeing it, it's a little bit tough, but a couple of just pointers. Are you using one hand? Are you using 2 hand? That's number 1. If that's happening a lot, just even ball tracking exercises like volleying against a wall will help actually a ton in just working on countering back to yourself. Working on that, a few times a week is really helpful. And then the other thing I would just, something for you to think about, right? Where's your paddle position? Obviously, a lot of people actually don't know. They have no idea. They record themselves. Before they sign up for an intensive, I have them film a video so I can see where they're at and put them in the right group. But a lot of them don't know where their paddle really is. So that might have a lot to do with it. Check that out. Make sure your paddle position, we have a lot of videos on that talking about that, is in a good place. And then obviously practicing, just very practical, volleys against the wall or with a partner. You got to get the reps. Yeah, man. Hopefully you keep working on it. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Last question, and it's from Lauren Hoffer.
All right. Lauren, make it a good one, Lauren.
She's in Illinois and Florida.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. 2 places at once.
Wow.
All right.
Nice.
Question from Lauren is, after you serve, how soon should I run up to the kitchen line? There's so many contradictions.
As soon as you serve?
No, it says after you serve. How soon? How soon?
After you serve. Yeah. Lauren, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just watch a whole bunch of our videos, Lauren. You'll get caught up. I know there's a lot of contradictions. Now, I get this question a lot. You may be talking about the return, maybe, Lauren. But if you're returning, we want to get up to that kitchen line. That's the goal. We want to get as close to there as possible. And split step, make sure we're stopping balance, getting ready for the 4th shot. But if you are talking about the serve, and now you're getting a return, it's coming back to you and your partner. Obviously, you guys have choices, right? There's choices in life. There's choices on the court. So you're gonna hit your 3rd shot drop or 3rd shot drive, and we really want to make it in safely to the net, if possible, right? We don't want to just be running in and we see this a lot. I'm sure you go out and play rec play, Dawson. You've had it. I'm sure you've done it. You've maybe hit a drop or something, and then you see your partner running in, sprinting in, and now and you don't hit a perfect drop all the time, and now they're getting killed in the transition zone. Yeah. So height of the ball is a big one. Again, if my opponents if it looks like they're going to be hitting the ball, just very general, okay? If it looks like they're going to be hitting the ball above the net, probably don't move. All right. If it looks like they're going to hit the ball below their waist, that might be something that we can start to come in on and approaching that.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think one thing that has helped me out a lot is whenever I'm playing with somebody who's maybe I don't play with often, or maybe is a lower level, or maybe, just someone random, I like to tell them, just to keep it really simple, if I hit a shot and it bounces in the kitchen, move. If it's not bouncing in the kitchen, just stay back, because it does stink when you hit, a drop that's a little bit high and your partner starts running up and you just, that's a hospital ball. They're going to get bagged. So yeah, I think just being smart and communicating with your teammate and watching their shot before you run up. But yeah.
Cool.
Sweet.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. I didn't know how many questions did we get through?
We got through 21.
Okay, so we will be doing another Q&A. Thank you everyone who submitted your questions. Sorry we couldn't get to your question yet. We will be doing another one in the new year. When Caden gets back, we'll probably do a Q&A, see how much we can get to. But Dawson, thanks so much, man.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
You know what? To close out the year, Happy New Year. Hopefully you had a Merry Christmas with your families, with your friends. And this year, I'm super excited about here at Briones Pickleball. We have a lot of plans, a lot of cool stuff happening. Wherever you are in your game, if you are 3-0, 3-5, you're playing tournaments or not, maybe you're just playing for fun. Continue to enjoy the game. This is an awesome sport. Anything you want to add, Dawson?
Have fun. Just have fun. The more you have fun, the better you'll get. And it won't feel like you're, just trying so hard, but just having fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Go play.
All right. Have a happy new year. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next pod.